Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we uncover the stories hidden within the numbers, and today O.M.N.I.Q Corp has given us a little something to dig into. Let's see if it is a treasure chest or just more corporate jargon. Before we dive in, if you love getting clear, no-nonsense breakdowns of financial reports, hit that subscribe button. And for a deeper dive into the world of corporate finance and to connect with like-minded folks, consider joining our Discord community. The link is in the description below. Alright, so what we have here is a Form 8K filing from O.M.N.I.Q Corp. Think of an 8K as a special report that companies have to file when something pretty significant happens. It is like the company's way of saying, hey, something important just went down and you need to know about it. This particular filing is dated the 14th of November 2025. The most important piece of information on the front page here, besides the company's name, is the date of the earliest event reported, and for O.M.N.I.Q Corp, that date is the 14th of November 2025. This tells us when the main event that triggered this filing occurred. The company itself is O.M.N.I.Q Corp, and it is incorporated in Delaware. Their file number with the SECSI is 001-40768, and their IRS employer identification number is 20 to 3,454,263. Interestingly, they have a common stock that trades under the ticker symbol OMQS on the OTC market. Now, the real meat of these filings often comes in the items section, which detail what is actually happening. In this case, we're looking at item 2.02, which covers results of operations and financial condition. This section tells us that on the 14th of November 2025, O.M.N.I.Q Corp released a press release, and this press release is considered part of the filing. They've attached it as Exhibit 99.1. So the press release is where we'll find the details about their operational results and financial health. This is a key exhibit. When a company files an 8K with a press release attached, it is usually because they are announcing something financially relevant. This could be earnings reports, major business developments, or anything that could impact how investors see the company. Since this filing specifically points to results of operations and financial condition through a press release, we can infer that O.M.N.I.Q Corp shared some important financial updates on that November date. Unfortunately, the actual content of that press release isn't directly included in the text you provided. To get the full picture of O.M.N.I.Q Corp's performance, we would need to read that Exhibit 99.1. However, based on how these reports are structured, this filing indicates that the company chose to communicate its financial results through a press release rather than embedding a detailed financial table directly into the 8K itself. This is fairly common. What this tells us is that on the 14th of November 2025, investors and the public learned about O.M.N.I.Q Corp's performance. This could include details about their revenue, profits or losses, their cash situation, and perhaps their outlook for the future. Companies use press releases for these announcements for a few reasons. Sometimes it is to reach a wider audience quickly, and other times it is to provide a more narrative explanation of their financial results, often highlighting positive achievements and downplaying or explaining away any negative ones. Our job as we watch these reports is to look past the public relations spin and see what the numbers are really telling us. Let's consider what kind of information a press release announcing financial results would typically contain. We'd expect to see reported revenue figures, how much money they made after expenses, and potentially a comparison to previous periods, like the same quarter last year. For example, if the press release mentioned a 10% increase in revenue, that sounds good. But if their expenses also grew by 20%, then they might actually be worse off than before. Or if they reported a profit, but it was much smaller than analysts expected, the market might react negatively. The key is always to compare the reported numbers to expectations and to historical performance. Since Exhibit 99.1 is the press release, it is the source of truth for the operational and financial condition updates. Without it, we are left to speculate about the specifics. However, the fact that this is a Form 8K and it references item 2.02, the section for results of operations and financial condition, is a strong signal that investors should pay close attention to O.M.N.I.Q Corp. Its performance around November 2025. Now, let's look at the broader picture of what this filing signifies. A filing like this from O.M.N.I.Q Corp on the 14th of November 2025 is crucial for investors because it is a public disclosure of important events. It ensures transparency in the market. There are also some checkboxes on this form that companies can use to indicate if they are simultaneously satisfying other filing obligations. For O.M.N.I.Q Corp, none of these boxes are checked, meaning this 8K is purely for reporting the event detailed in item 2.02 and item 9.01. The company states that its common stock par value $0.001 trading symbol OMQS is registered on the OTC market. This is important because it tells us where the company's shares are publicly traded. The OTC market is generally for smaller companies and can be less liquid than major exchanges like the Nasdaq or New York Stock Exchange. OMNIQ Corp is not indicating that it is an emerging growth company. This means it probably does not meet the criteria for that designation, which usually involves companies with less than a certain amount of annual gross revenue or less than 5 years since their IPO. If it were an emerging growth company, it could have opted to use extended transition periods for new or revised financial accounting standards, essentially getting more time to comply. Finally, we have item 9.01, which deals with financial statements and exhibits. Here, it lists the exhibits being filed with the report. As we noted, Exhibit 99.1 is the press release dated the 14th of November, 2025. There is usually also Exhibit 104, which is the cover page interactive data file. This is a standardized format that makes it easier for machines to read and process the filing information, which is great for data analysis. The report is signed by Shailesh Garten, who holds the impressive titles of Chief Executive Officer, Interim Chief Financial Officer, and Chairman of the Board for O.M.N.I.Q Corp. Having one person in all these roles can sometimes signal efficiency, but it can also raise questions about the division of labor and potential conflicts of interest or overburdening of responsibilities. The date of the signature is the 14th of November, 2025, matching the report date. Now, let's wrap this up with my take. This 8K filing for O.M.N.I.Q Corp is essentially a notification that they have released important financial information to the public via press release. Because the actual press release, Exhibit 99.1, is not provided here, we cannot analyze specific numbers or trends. This makes this filing more of a procedural announcement than a detailed financial review on its own. However, the mere fact that they are filing this 8K to report on their results of operations and financial condition tells us that the 14th of November 2025 was a significant date for the company. Investors should have been on high alert to see what O.M.N.I.Q Corp had to say about its performance. The fact that Mr. Lustgarten holds multiple key leadership positions could be a point of interest for assessing governance and strategy implementation. Trading on the OTC market also suggests a company that may be in an earlier stage of development or has a smaller market capitalization compared to companies listed on major exchanges. Without the press release, the key takeaway is simply that O.M.N.I.Q Corp made a material financial announcement on that date. For a full understanding, we'd need to access Exhibit 99.1 and see if their reported results met expectations, if they are growing or shrinking, and what the market reaction was. The most notable risk or opportunity here remains tied directly to the undisclosed financial performance detailed in that press release. Alright, that is our breakdown of O.M.N.I.Q Corp. Its latest filing. What is your take on this kind of announcement? Do you find these filings useful even without the specific numbers? Drop your thoughts in the comments if this analysis was valuable. Hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.